Case study, key assessment for Jane, 14-year-old female by Miriam Martinez. Nutrition assessment for Jane, 14 years old, 62 inches in height, 76 kilograms, BMI of 31, in the 95th percentile for the CDC chart. Upward weight trend, risk for obesity in adulthood. Clinical labs show blood pressure of 125 over 82, stage 1 hypertension, fasting blood glucose 116, lipids, LDLs 113, HDLs 36, triglycerides 136. This puts her in risk for dyslipidemia, insulin resistance, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, obstructive sleep apnea. Anything else for this page? Let's see, diet. Nutrition assessment. For nutrition diagnoses, there's a few. Excessive energy intake related to frequent fast foods, sweetened sugared beverages, processed snacks, as evidenced by the 3-day dietary 24-hour recall. BMI, her BMI is at 31. The CDC chart of 95 percentile, putting her in obese. The 15-pound weight gain over the last year. Inadequate fiber, fruits, vegetables, micronutrients of the calcium, vitamin D, and iron as related to low dietary quality. Food insecurity as evidenced by chronometer labs and her fractured bone history. One more, food and nutrition knowledge deficit and food insecurity related to limited parental skills or knowledge, and resources as evidenced by reliance on fast food and monthly food shortage. With regard to key recommendations for her weight and activity goals, I recommend gradual maintenance, gradual reduction, less than 2 pounds a week for weight loss, and about 2,300 kcals a day. Average body weight 63.25 kilograms by 1.5 is moderate activity. What I used for Mifflin St. Jean, more than 60 or at 60 minutes of moderate vigorous exercise for physical activity daily is my recommendation. She can walk, bike to school, walk to school, be involved in sports, family activities for physical exercise. What else did I want to say? I would also like to, the fact that Jane is in the 95 percentile being obese, I think it's very important that we involve for her, since her blood lipid levels are not where they should be, we can bring up 2 grams of plant sterols and stanols, which can be recommended for her at her age, which are fruits such as, well, actually, viscous fiber would be recommended, which are oats, barley, and flax seeds. And the reasons why we want to do this is because viscous fiber traps bile acids and that are made for cholesterol, preventing them from being reabsorbed. And so that's why it's so beneficial to have viscous fiber. So the blood ends up having, in turn, the body ends up having to pull more bile from the bloodstream to make new bile. So it's good that when we have viscous fiber, it traps the cholesterol. So that's one way to help lower LDLs. And that will help Jane to lower her LDLs for when she comes back in 1 month for follow-up. The other thing that I was talking about, plant stanols and sterols. So when you eat them, they end up blocking the receptor for cholesterol. And so it is encouraged to have about 2 grams more of that, up to 2 grams a day. And things such as wheat germ can be sprinkled on top of food, or eating peanuts and almonds, fortified yogurts. And that is, studies have shown that that will lower LDL by 7 to 15%. And so I would like to encourage that for her, one of her recommendations for including that in her food menu, the stanols and sterols along with the viscous fibers. Family behavior, structured meals. It has been shown that family meals encourage eating better habits, because when kids eat out, they're eating from vending machines and eating at schools, and that's not necessarily the best option for the choices. And once children get full, then there's no more opportunity for the vitamins and micronutrients and macronutrients to be absorbed. And more, as adolescents spend more time with their peers, participants in family meals tends to decline. So frequent family meals are associated with improved dietary intake amongst adolescents, including higher intakes of fruits, vegetables, and foods that are good in sources of calcium, and decrease in intake of soft drinks. So that is a big reason that I would like to push family meals. And psychosocial and cognitive development is also important, because during the time of early adolescence of 11 to 14, it's a time when teenagers are more egocentric, concrete thinking, and impulsive behavior. So impulsive behavior can lead to grabbing foods that aren't the highest in nutrition. They're not thinking about their nutrition status, and they don't understand the complex health and nutrition issues during this time, because during this time is when half of your bone density is growing as a child. And so it's so important to make sure that these adolescents, especially Jane's age, are consuming vitamin D and her calcium intake, especially since she just had that ulna fracture. So I think it's also important to make sure she's consuming her dairy, her greens, for that vitamin D and calcium intake. Let's see, something else that I wanted to say was that physical activity, this also, there's a big reason why we want to explain the why of physical activity, of why it's so important, is, it helps them feel more confident when they're maintaining their weight. And it also helps with physical attractiveness. People feel more physically attractive when they're more symmetrical. These are studies from my book, Brown, Judith Brown. And academic ability helps to focus more when you're exercising. You are known more to be more focused and have more physical performance. You're better at that. So when when the child is in physical education, like PE, she will be able to keep up with the kids, and that will build more confidence as well. Let's see. The other things I wanted to talk about was snacking. I know a lot of kids like to snack, so if we can make sure that the mom keeps snacks readily available at home, that when Jane does get hungry, she is can easily eat her snack at school that is already pre prepared. Um, and something else that I wanted to include was yes, the calcium. I want to reiterate for the calcium, achieving adequate intake of calcium during adolescence is crucial to the physical growth and development. Um, Calcium is the main constituent for bone mass on top of the vitamin D intake. Something else is iron. I'm pushing iron because it's the rapid rate of linear growth due to the increase of blood volume. So the more we have iron being attached to the hemoglobin, it is bringing the nutrients that Jane needs of the calcium and vitamin D to go throughout her body systemically. Also, I wanted to include, the dietary. So Jane is not, she's not, I don't want her to feel that she's the only one not eating healthy. It's very normal that many teens eat what she is, a high cholesterol, high sodium, high added sugar, high saturated fat diet. So, not that I don't want her feeling that she's just the only one doing these things. It's very normal, but this is how she has this opportunity to now start eating better, especially so with the vitamin D. Individuals with dark skin pigmentations, studies have shown that um, they experience limited vitamin D production in the body due to the skin pigmentation. And so, since vitamin D is so essential for optimum bone formation, uh, I am pushing more dairy for her to eat. Um, there is also been known that there's an inverse relationship of the serum parathyroid hormone, the PTH, and vitamin D levels. So even in the earliest states of vitamin D deficiency, when no overt symptoms of deficiencies are seen, PTH is elevated in order to maintain calcium levels through demineralization. So if Jane's not consuming enough vitamin D, it starts to demineralize her bones, making it less dense. By taking calcium out of her blood, out of her bones, from her, it's taking it out of her bones, because her parathyroid is it becomes, you'll see it, that her parathyroid, there'll be higher levels being released into the circulations, further having demineralization in her bones. So low levels of vitamin D in adolescents have been found to be inversely related to systolic blood pressure. And that's what my concern is, because she's at stage 1 hypertension. So this could be this vitamin D factor, because she's having low vitamin D intake, could be affecting her systolic. It could be increasing her systolic. Her fasting plasma blood glucose is also high. So that's another reason that she needs to increase her vitamin D. Hyperglycemia, that we've seen that in her, and that also leads to the metabolic syndrome. So if we could fix the vitamin D, her micronutrients, then we can help her fight metabolic syndrome. We can help her bring her glucose numbers down and her systolic blood pressure down as well. And so it also says vitamin D status is also associated with low HDL. And um, that's something else that we can work on to bring up her HDLs. It's also related to higher BMI with low vitamin D and abdominal obesity measurements. So there is just a whole bunch of issues that can be fixed with this vitamin D, of course, along with um, exercise and nutrition. That was one of the main things I wanted to get across of the intervention for these key recommendations. So referrals and monitoring. So referrals and monitoring, I did refer Jane's family to the application process through social work help, through social work's help with supplemental nutrition assistance program. I asked the social worker to refer the family with food banks, all of the local food banks around us. School meals already in the process. Jane's already taken advantage of that. Um, the multidisciplinary team is involved with her weight management, um, with the weight management program. And I will reevaluate her Tanner stage to see when she is physically ready. Um, Once everything, all of her physical, adolescent um, hormones and everything is fully developed, then if we need to um, intervene with pharmacotherapy or surgery. But I would like to wait at least um, at least wait till next month, reevaluate her blood levels, reevaluate the fasting glucose, her lipid levels, her vitamin D, see if how that's looking, if we need to give supplements of 600 IUs, if she's having a hard time consuming enough dairy products and greens for her vitamin D intake, then I will recommend the supplement of 600 IUs. Um, via D3 cholecalciferol, because uh, with the according to studies, darker skin have harder times absorbing it through absorbing vitamin D through the sun. And yes, I will follow through by rechecking her weight, her BMI, which is or her weight, which is her BMI, her blood pressure, her labs, in 2 and 3 months. Um, if she is showing signs of losing weight, that's a great thing, or even being steady is still a good thing. I just don't want to see any weight gain. So this is just a quick, I'm gonna go through her quick menu options. I have set a few things of recommendations that she can play around with. It's a 3-day menu recommended with a DASH diet, carbohydrates in 45 to 55% of her daily value, fats 20 to 35%, 10 to 25% of protein, more than 25 or at 25 grams of fiber, meeting 100% of her RDA, calcium, vitamin D, and iron. When I was creating this Cronometer menu, I was sure to base it around Latin inspired recipes, budget friendly for her family. I made sure to involve foods in bulk, as this helps. Vegetables and fruits in season also help with budgeting, keeping the budget low when you buy local or even shop at farmers market. I did explain to her family about farmers market being cheaper when you go there, because they have these things called double bucks, and you can double up and buy more vegetables when you shop at farmers market, and you're also supporting your local city. Beverages I push are water, and this will increase bulk and the viscous fiber that I spoke about earlier to bind the biles, bind the cholesterol um, in her bloodstream. And yogurt at meal times keeps the vitamin D, which will help lower a whole bunch of labs that we'd like to see lowered. And sodium level, of course, less than 2,300. And it's actually going to be much, much lower when we're following the DASH diet. So I've included a breakfast, lunch, two snacks. So before lunchtime, if Jane is hungry, she will bring a prepared snack from home. Her afternoon snack will be after school if she's walking home or after a sports activity and she's hungry. These are great options, what she can eat. I have incorporated a lot of corn tortillas with eggs. I recommend egg whites for now as her lipid levels are higher than what we'd like to see. Um, Pushing a lot of fresh Hispanic fruits and vegetables such as mangoes um, and pumpkin seeds, non-fat yogurt, papayas for fruits. Nutrition assessment for Jane, 14 years old, 62 inches, in height 76 kilograms, BMI of 31, in the 95th percentile for the CDC chart. Upward. This is day two. It's pretty similar to day one, of course, because I wanted to make sure mom is cooking in bulk so she can accommodate for the entire family. So there'll be leftovers, and that's fine. In here, I did include some queso fresco with her dinner. That will help with fat absorption, and it's still Latin friendly ingredients. I did include some lentils and spinach in here to increase her iron absorption, um, to help with blood flow and increase bone density with the calcium and the vitamin D being absorbed. I did put down some cottage cheese on here to see if she wants to play around and try cottage cheese. If she doesn't like it, she can. I also put the choice of non-fat Greek yogurt, or she can just have regular yogurt because if she doesn't like the texture, she can change that, of course. And this is her third day of the diet. I'm including plantains, another Hispanic favorite. There is soy riso or tofu for her plant-based choice. I would like her to eat more plant-based proteins instead of animals sometimes. Cactus nopales, that is another Latin-inspired side dish. Guava and sesame seeds for crunch in her snack menu. Tilapia calabacita, which is just squash for Hispanics, as the Hispanics are known to eat squash a lot, and brown rice for her whole grains, including that extra fiber. And the last snack I have is yogurt mixed with lime and so she can dip it with her radish and celery and some almonds for her viscous fiber intake. These are my references, and thank you for listening.